Right, 2 points. One, I am currently washing my socks. If you hear washing machine noises, that's my washing machine. Two, there's going to be a footnote.
Right at the very end.
Right then, hello there, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are when you're watching this video. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knickknack. I'm the brains behind the Daily Teaser and a lot of movie reviews. I will put links to them up there if you want to go and explore my content on both YouTube and on my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar. Like I say, I do pointless quizzes, I talk about movies when I get a chance to see them, and when I get the chance to see a TV show, I see a TV show. Just recently I've started watching the third season of Star Trek Picard, and I'll try and put a link to that in the corner as well. And I will try and put a link to my tip jar as well if you're feeling generous and impressed with my content. Either way, I've just recently started watching Picard, which is rather good. I will be catching the next episode of that on Friday the 25th, I think it is, off the top of my head. But I've also been watching the third season of For All Mankind. And Sunday, yesterday, on the 19th of February, I saw the most recent episode called All In. There's possibly a footnote about that, but I wanted to tell you what I thought of the episode. Episode 3, All In, opens with a nighttime view of Tower Bridge in London, and then tells us that we're at the 27th annual IAC conference in 1984. And it shows us NASA head Margot Madison, Ren Schmidt, in a lift with senior Soviet official Sergei Nikulov, played by Piotr Adamczyk, and follows the pair meeting in lifts over the course of the next 3 years until 1991, when, just as things are starting to look interesting, someone else gets in the lift. Post titles, we see Margot back at the office in California, in Houston, telling NASA's Mars team that they're working to a drastically shortened deadline. Both Helios and the Soviet Union have announced they're launching a Mars mission in 1994, 2 years ahead of the planned US mission in 96. Margot wants NASA to beat their rivals to it. Confident in our expectations that Daniel Poole, Chris Marshall, will be able to accelerate astronaut training, and that Alida Rosales, Coral Pena, has the solution for getting building supplies to Mars before the astronauts get to Mars, when they're going to need to build a safe base. After all, there's no point in astronauts going to Mars to build a base if they have to wait for the supplies. US chances in the race are being much discussed. US chances in the race to Mars are being much discussed in the ongoing presidential election. In this version of history, Governor Bill Clinton is up against Senator Ellen Wilson, Jody Balfour. Senator Wilson is pleased that the international circumstances are how they are. Former NASA astronaut that she is, she's shining in reflected glory and hoping to make a few political gains. Meanwhile, Ed and Karen, Joel Kinnaman and Chantal Van Santen are on board and being shown around at the newly rechristened Phoenix ship by no less a person than Dev Aissa, Eddie Kathega himself. It's only when the Helios boss tells Ed about the automated systems and his plans to put poets on the Phoenix that Ed forces a confrontation. He wants to make sure humans who can improvise in an emergency, are in charge. However good the poets might be, however good the technology is, they're not necessarily going to be much help in a crash-landing spaceship. Back on Earth, Margot isn't the only person with problems. NASA is facing formidable recruitment teams from Helios. The team of Ed and Karen are offering serious money to all and sundry. Money that Alida turns down, but something that the troubled and currently relapsing Danny Stevens, Casey W. Johnson, accepts at just the wrong moment. What no one knows is that in all of this, Margot has a very Russian problem with the garrote. Now, what did I make of this episode? What was All In? Was it good, bad, indifferent? Was it about wrestling, or was it about poker? I have a feeling it's about poker, and I'll point you at the footnote later. I have a feeling it's about poker, as by the end of the episode, Margot has taken a incredibly big gamble. A big gamble that almost saw Sergei, her love interest, almost killed in front of her. The simple fact that the last few minutes of the episode set 2 years after the main part of the story, that simple fact that it shows us, that last 5 minutes shows us the Soviet Mars mission launching 2 years after Margot has betrayed her country and giving the Russians vital plans. Given that we know Danny Stevens, a possibly obsessed, relapsing and mentally unhealthy Danny Stevens, is on the same Helios mission as Ed Baldwin, means this series is looking interesting. Frankly, I'm going to be watching the next episode of Picard on this coming Friday. I am going to be watching the next episode, the 4th episode of the season of For All Mankind, Happy Valley episode, next Sunday, on Sunday the 26th. And I will be watching the 4th episode of the season, Happy Valley. I will let you know what I think of it next Monday. You'll see my review then. Hopefully I'll see you then. You take care, have a good week, and be seeing you. Right, just as a minor couple of points, possibly, for those of us who've not heard the phrase all in. I know for a fact there are 2 different interpretations. From poker, it's when you put every last bit of your money in a stake. You go all in, and you do it if you are either suicidal or very confident about your hand. All in. The other definition, I suspect British men and women of a certain age will remember. It's from All In Wrestling, the form of popular professional wrestling from the 70s and 80s. Basically, the rule was, so long as it took place in the ring, if it was all in the ring, it was a legal move.